Welcome to a very special preview. Fans Fight Back 2023 is coming up. There's an entirely separate show about reviewing 2022. I want no reference to what's gone on, apart from the fact that some people might have failed drugs tests and might be coming back. With me, very special guest, Leigh. How you doing?
Yeah, I'm all right. Good. Thank you, Martin. Yourself?
Yeah, I am blinding. And Rakeem. How you doing, Rakeem?
I'm good. I'm good. Let's talk boxing as we do.
Let's talk box. And the first thing we were just discussing prior to hitting record, there might be a comeback on the cards. One of our favourite people in boxing, only 32 years old, right, Rakeem? Is 2023 the year we see you back?
Oh, for the last how many years, I've always used my best years are behind me. 32, it's too much to get back into. But after seeing Jimmy first on Sky Sports at the age of 41, beating undefeated prospects, if he can do it, why can't we? What are we doing? What are we really doing? What excuses can we really be coming up with?
Shout out Jimmy first, right? That's an amazing 41 years old. Like, he only started boxing in his mid-30s, I think, didn't he? That's incredible. Yeah.
So what's his background? Is he a bit of a journeyman, or is he literally just taken it up and thought, stuff it, let's see what I can do?
He's undefeated himself. Yeah, like he's an area champion. Was it Brian Phillips he beat up north? Maybe. I think he might have been. And yeah, goes on Sky Sports and takes out one of their undefeated prospects. Outstanding.
Brilliant work. Brilliant work.
41 years old. He's in his peak heading into the new year. So, heading into the new year, right? I've got some themes. We're going to hit along them as we go along. And I want your two takes. I want flat out predictions as well. I don't want any fence sitting. I want some predictions out of you. I'm going to start off with the first one I prepared. The big one. Which UK promoter will have the best year in 2023?
I'll come off the fence with that one. I think the promoter that have the best 2023 is the promoter that had the best 2022 UK base, and that's Frank Warren. This year alone, he's tore it up. He's got the heavyweights in the mix. He's brought the female division into his game. He's had a really few good domestic dust-ups for the British title at York Hall. At every level within the UK, he seems just to be smashing it. I don't see why not. Even on the first month of next year, Arthur Batovi of Yards. On the undercard, you've got Dada Takian defending the flyweights. So he's poached the flyweight market from the zone there. You can't get undefeated without all four belts. So I don't see him having a bad year. I don't see the momentum dying. The whole Fury, Joyce, and Usyk triangle going on. Yeah, he's going to be around for a lot longer at the top of the game, Frank.
He's done well positioning people into places, the likes of Yard. You know, he's had him sat there for a while. Who's there? Archie Sharp, like sat there for some reason near the top of the W. Well, I know the reason. Near the top of the WBO rankings. They could get him a world title shot sometime in the year. Yeah, I can see the argument for Frank. What do you reckon, Leigh?
I would go along with that, to be honest with you, on the basis that I don't really see Eddie Hearn as a UK-based promoter anymore because of the work that he does with DAZN.
That's fair.
I think he's more of a global and Middle East promoter now, more of American stroke Middle Eastern promoter. I know his business connections are based in the UK, but he's all about trying to crack America, and he's failing miserably as far as I'm concerned.
I think, yeah, it almost feels like he's spreading himself too thinly in lots of different areas. And it's not like he's created a supply chain of other Eddie Hearns, and there's only so much Eddie Hearn that can go round. And
it's like when he first signed up for the deal with DAZN. How many times were you hearing about Italian cards on DAZN? You don't hear about them anymore.
True. Spanish.
You know, you know.
Spanish or Italian card every couple of months, maybe once or twice a year, but I don't think it bloomed in the way that he wanted to. I think his best success has come in America, and that's with the flyweights, and then having the occasional Canelo fight here and there. That's where his major success has gone. If you look at the UK at this point of time, he's ending 2023 with one world champion in Leigh Woods. and that's after Leo Santa Cruz vacated the Super Championship, and Josh Warrington has now lost the WBO Championship. So he leaves 2022 with 1 championship. His best work is definitely over in the US. That's where I think right now he's having the most success.
Do we even know what he's got planned for 2023?
They've not released their schedule yet, have they? They keep
Nothing, have they? Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, what are we, 19th of December, and we haven't got a 2023 schedule as yet. Whereas, as you said earlier, Rack, you know, there's Beterbiev Yard upcoming on Sky Sports. There's Cattrall versus Taylor. There's Smith versus Eubank. I mean, I think, to be fair, Shalom might be in with a shout of having a very decent year if he can line up Shields versus Marshall again, and start doing something with the likes of Fraser Clark. You've got to put him in deep sooner rather than later. I think you made a valid point, actually, Rack, about the fact that there's only the one world champion on DAZN. I mean, in the male division, in the female division, there are plenty. But you can't, at the moment, you can't hang your product on the female division, can you? It's not big enough.
It's not strong enough. Something like Savannah Marshall, Clarissa Shields, that was a headline in itself. They could use that. Serrano Taylor could use that. Even Bumgarner Mayer, they could use that. But for many of the other female fighters, they just aren't strong enough to carry them as main events, to carry a whole show forward, which isn't a show during lockdown, which you're going to watch because you're indoors. So they still need to build up a bit more. And just going on to that Shields Marshall, they're talking of a rematch. Shields wants it in the USA. Of course, Marshall wants it in the UK. Can boxers deliver it in the USA? I don't think they can. I don't think it'll make half as much revenue as it could over here if they were to put it out there. So that's one thing that they haven't quite mastered yet, the USA market. But we'll see what 2023 holds.
Is that because you think Marshall's not as well known over in the States than she is over here? So the lack of revenue.
I think it plays down to both. I don't think Clarissa Shields is a major draw in the USA either. Women's boxing isn't really published as much in the United States like it is over here. Clarissa Shields got a bigger turnout coming to London, England, than she would fighting in the United States of America. And of course, Savannah Marshall as well. She isn't a massive name in UK. She's big in UK boxing, but not within the UK. The fight's sold because they can get behind her, market her, bounce on Clarissa Shields. You do that same stick in America, and I just don't see people taking to it like they did over here.
Yeah, and I mean, ultimately, if women's boxing were huge in the US, then you wouldn't see Clarissa Shields coming over here, and you wouldn't see Clarissa Shields doing MMA fighting and whatever it was she did. She would be headlining her own cards in the US somewhere. Right, so you're going Frank.
Bumgarner, Mayer, Alicia, Mayer, Clarissa, they've all come over to the UK to have their biggest fights. There's a reason behind that.
Yeah. So you're both going Frank for best year 2023.
Frank with a boxer a close second.
Yeah. I mean, being controversial about it, can we chuck in the Sauerland with their YouTube offering? Like, if we're talking who's going to have the most financially successful year in 2023, taking money out of boxing, it's going to be difficult to see past those, whatever they are, DAZN misfit shows.
I feel that the Sauerlands, the misfit shows, you got to take them as a whole different entity in themselves. I think the KSI card in August, that legit sold out 20,000 people at the O2. Pay-per-view was a success. It was the #1 most viewed thing on DAZN. So automatically, that's beating everything. We can't even put it in the same category or grouping. There's just no way to compete. It's something else.
It's already bigger than boxing.
It's revenue versus boxing, that one, isn't it, I think?
Yeah, it is. But I mean, if we're talking who's going to have the most financially successful year, they can keep churning this shit out.
Yeah, good luck to them. But I've got no interest in watching YouTubers beat the shit out of each other. And I generally think there's going to be a time where somebody doesn't follow the script and one day somebody's going to get seriously hurt.
Quite possibly, but they will in boxing as well. And, you know, the counter argument to that is, outside of a very small number of them, they're not good enough to hurt one another anyway. Not properly. Like, a few of them can. That's Salt Pappy and whatever. He looks fairly handy, but outside of a small number, I don't think any of them are capable of doing serious damage anyway. Might be wrong. We'll find out. Right. What's going to be the biggest fight? We'll concentrate on the UK for now. The biggest fight that happens in 2023 or involving UK fighters may not happen over here.
I think one potentially, I don't know if it'll be the biggest, but it will be a big one. Josh Warrington versus Leigh Woods. I know that they've spoken about that one because, of course, Warrington's lost his title. Leigh Woods now elevated. It's a good enough domestic clash. It's a really good domestic clash. That's one on the list.
That depresses me, Rakeem. If that is the biggest fight involving UK fighters,
we're doomed.
I'm switching off now. Like, no offense whatsoever, but outside of a pocket of people in Leeds, does anyone really care about Josh Warrington? Really care?
Ebony Bridges.
Undercard, there we go. Come in for the undercard already.
But yeah, I mean, I don't know. I was never hugely interested in him, although like that Frampton fight, that was the peak of the interest for me in Josh Warrington's career. Since then, you know, he's had a couple of Mexicans come over and expose him a little bit. It doesn't. I'd rather see Conlan Wood for a second time than I would Warrington.
Yeah, for me, that's the one that's got to be rematched because that was an absolute robbery. That was. What,
when Conlan fell through the rope? Not sure you can call it a robbery.
No. Yeah, robbery probably a little bit wrong, but yeah, that's the one for me. But other than that, it's anything for me that involves Fury or AJ. And I really hope it's not AJ White again, because I don't want to see history repeating.
Is it time for us to grow up and just face the fact that AJ Fury isn't happening? We gotta get over it. We just gotta let it go. It's not gonna happen.
So, do you reckon Fury Usyk happens?
I think so. I don't see what. I know Frank Warren and Usyk's team are pretty close. They have no issues with each other. They seem pretty smooth. So, the fight's gonna happen. I think it will happen over the next couple of months. It's not like when Hearn and Warren had to come together for AJ Fury, and they don't like each other. They're gonna make it hard for each other, and it's just every obstacle that's gonna come up will come up. But with the Warrens and with Usyk's camp, they was at the show. They were on Fury to Zura. They all get along. It's all frictionless. So I don't see why not.
And Usyk's like that free transfer, isn't he? There's kind of he can float around and go where he wants. Yeah, I think we'll see that in 2023. Yeah, I think we will. Takes me on to my next question, which might take you back to the last one. Will Chris Eubank Jr. fight for a world title in 2023?
No.
Because we've asked that for the last 2 years now. Go for the hat trick. Hat trick.
Will he fight for a legitimate world title? If we disregard for now the IBO, will he fight for a legitimate world title in 23?
If one more comes vacant, then yeah, sure, he will. We'll jump right at it.
What about you, Leigh?
Can't see it happening, to be honest with you. I don't. How long is, I know he's dropped that next gen thing, but for me, he's past, been and done. He had his chance. I think when he fought, was it Groves? That was his prime, possibly. Just can't see it happening anymore.
I kind of feel like he's just settled into this comfort zone of he'll fight other British fighters in almost spectacles rather than caring about world titles. He cares about money, and I don't really have an issue with that. Ultimately, when he retires, it will tarnish his legacy. Is not going to be able to say I was the best of my generation because you never were. But maybe he knows that anyway. Maybe he's aware of that.
As long as he knows his place.
I think he's happy playing poker. He's happy on yachts in Dubai with Dan Vizera, whatever his name is. He seems to have a few ventures outside of boxing. He's always at celebrity events. I think he's enjoying his life quite comfortably, and he doesn't become a world champion and sod it. I'm making hundreds of thousands, millions doing something else. Boxing is just something on the side for something to do. I'm always going to be a headline name, and why not?
I agree with you. I think he just uses boxing as a vehicle to make money, not to care about the legacy that he's going to leave behind. And that money has afforded him a very nice lifestyle when he gets off and does those other ventures, as you say. And if he leaves, which it seems that he's kind of got all of his faculties intact and without any damage, he's surely the blueprint of how you forge a career. I mean, granted, he started with the help of his dad's name, but like I don't think you can really fault the fact that he's made loads of money. And
what about you? Do you think he'll get a championship fight?
I think he'll fight Golovkin this year.
Really?
Yeah, I do. I think Sky Sports will put the money up for it. I think he'll fight an aging Golovkin middle of the year after Liam Smith. Whether he beats him or not, I don't know. But I reckon we'll see that if the Conor Benn fight doesn't make itself available again.
And I hope it doesn't.
I was to jump onto that. Yeah, I was going to say, does the Conor Benn fight happen in 2023? So we're talking about things going in the future.
Well, that's my next question. Will Conor Benn fight under a British Boxing Board of Control license in 2023?
I like the way you've worded that. Fight under a British Boxing Board of Control license, because we know there's the Luxembourg, various ones in Germany.
He could go off to Dubai and nick a license there.
His license is literally everywhere. So it's who will he fight for? That's the question.
Yeah. Will we see him? Let's put it this way. Will we see him at the O2 or at Manchester Arena on a DAZN show licensed by the board?
Who's going to want to fight him? That's the question.
I reckon you'd have a string of people still.
They're going to have to be offered a load of money to do it.
I don't know. I think if you look at it as his profile has never been higher outside of the world of boxing, and potentially his abilities may have never been lower than what they might be when he returns to the ring. I think you find a queue of people.
Yeah, he's still a name. He's still Conor Benn at the end of the day. He's still a legacy fighter, a next-gen fighter. He still had his whole career on Sky Sports in DAZN. People will love that scalp on their records because that will boost their career and elevate them no matter who they are. So, yeah, the queue will still be there.
If he does fight again this year, it'll be interesting to see what type of physique he comes in at, whether he's that absolute ripped muscle machine that he has been for the last, 18, 24 months, or whether if he turns up like he was before.
Well, I mean,
and I think if he turns up like he was before, I think that says a lot.
I would assume he's taken a lot of writing ability. That right arm to do 200 pages to Varda. You know, a lot of ballpoint pens to get through doing that. Yeah.
Just touched 270 pages. My gosh. I can only imagine what can you put in 270 pages? We've all gone to school, college, university, dissertations, we know what they're about. Even my dissertation wasn't 270 pages. If I add up all of my courseworks, maybe that won't even be 270 pages. He crammed 3 years, 4 years of university, a PhD, and a master's into one report. What on earth is in that?
And still managed to say nothing.
Yeah.
I've read shorter novels than 270 pages. Like, that's absolutely insane. That, especially when you come out tweeting like in advance, thank you to my team, you know, proven myself innocent now, and you get his missus coming out saying, now that he's been proven. Like, the only thing you've proven is that you know how to kill trees.
Like, on a serious note, I genuinely don't know what you could write in a 270-page document for anything. Like, is this a peace treaty? Is this a Geneva Convention? I don't know. What's inside there?
Has it been made public yet?
No, it's not. Still with the WBC only.
Someone with boxing Twitter is going to read every page of that, break it down, and probably crop it down to like half a paragraph, 240 characters.
It'd probably be really nice, Derek.
Yeah, he'll just take a screenshot. But
I reckon these 10 pages. I reckon these 10 pages of that 270-page document is testimonies from his friends, family, his missus, all telling you how good of a guy Connor is. He'll never do something like this. It's a misunderstanding, and he's definitely innocent.
It's like his Oscars acceptance speech.
Yeah, there we go. Just like that.
There's probably 200 pages from Bellew.
Yeah, there we go. That's a good part of it.
But yeah, I mean, surely if your answer is I didn't do it, and you know, I don't know what the rationale behind the 2 failed tests is. 2 failed tests months and months apart. Like, there must have to be some scientific reason behind those if you are innocent. 270 pages worth of innocence? I don't know.
Has it actually been confirmed that there are 2 failed tests? Because I've only known of the one. So it has actually been, it's not just rumour, it has actually been confirmed that it's 2 failed tests.
No, it's been confirmed. 2 failed tests, 3 months apart, I think, off the top of my head. Maybe July and September.
I had the date. Yeah, it was. The first test was before. That's it. The first test failure was before the fight was announced.
Yeah.
So I can't remember the date, but I did a little doc on it. But yeah, first was before the fight was announced, and then the second one was, like we all know, July.
Yeah.
And there's been no mention of the B samples from either of those failed tests.
Oh, that's an orbit, man. That's never coming back. That's an outer orbit in space.
Same place as Dillian White's.
Same place as the ball Carrie Kane lobbed into the stand at the shootout.
Sellotaped into a ball and whacked it out of a stadium. Nobody's ever seen those tests. Don't worry about them. They don't exist anymore.
Move on.
Yeah. No, I don't know. We'll see. But do you think Conor Benn fights under a British license over the next 12 months?
No.
No, but he fights. Not under the British board, but he'll fight.
Do you reckon he'll fight in Britain? Because if they do that, if they did went and got a Bieber license or a Luxembourg or Malta, that causes massive repercussions elsewhere. Like at that point, you're going against. If you watch it, there was an interview on pitch with Robert Smith and Gareth A. Davis the other day where Robert Smith was very much like, I want to tell you more, but there's a legal case going on and I simply can't tell you anything else. But I'd really like to tell you a lot more about what went on, why it went on, and where we are now. And it was quite interesting. He was clearly aggravated by the whole scenario. And the fact that I suspect, so this document has gone to the WBC, who are a sanctioning body. They're not a governing body. They just hand out belts to people. Like, my guess is that they will clear him to fight. The governing body won't, and then everybody goes, I ain't got a clue what's going on now.
Isn't that because the fighters have to pay the sanctioning bodies a fee to get the fight sanctioned for the belts in the first place? So they don't really care whether the money, as long as they get their money, they're not really worried about tests, etc., etc.
So the WBC were the ones who essentially created an excuse for Canelo and gave him 3 months instead of however long. And they also changed, which other Mexican fighter was it, where they changed the threshold? Yeah. Yeah, he failed a test, so they just changed the threshold of what was acceptable.
Brilliant.
The week of his fight, he failed the test. And, it's okay. You can still fight for our belt. You can still be our champion.
Yeah. So that's my guess of what will happen is the WBC will clear him. The British Boxing Board of Control and UKAD will still have their case open. Benn will bin all of that off and just go and fight for WBC titles in the Middle East.
It's in the pits, it really is, isn't it? It really is.
What sport are we even considering it? But it doesn't happen elsewhere, does it? If it happened in football, somebody goes and fails 2 drugs tests, you wouldn't be debating, can they go and just play in Serie A? No, like they're banned.
Can they play Champions League only?
Yeah, exactly that. Bizarre. Right, moving on. Name a fighter who becomes a British champion in 2023.
jumping down. We're jumping down. Who's going to be a British champion? What prospects are looking promising? I think another obvious one, people bringing Adam, or will he become a British champion? Because he's got to get through Dalton Smith, doesn't he? I think
Adam Azim.
His favourite. A lot of people are saying he's going to do a lot of big things. But as a question, will he jump past the British title and go straight on to bigger honours, or will he go through Dalton Smith at this point in his career?
My guess would be Dalton Smith signs with Sky Sports or Boxer. And they give him because I don't think Dalton Smith's ready to go above British title level at the moment, based on his last performance. So I think they need to put the brakes on him a little bit, hold him at British level, and just build Azim underneath that. Then when Dalton's ready to move on, you move Azim into that space. Whether that's this year or not, I don't know. But I don't see the point in Sky Sports having them both fight this early on.
Another fighter, I think, Hamza Shiraz. I can see him fighting for the middleweight title. Of course, Denzel Benn holds at the moment. Maybe he'll vacate, go on to the European, and that's why I see maybe Hamza Shiraz coming in, because he's looked pretty good. He's one of the warm prospects, so I think definitely has the potential.
I think they'll do an Anthony Yard with Hamza Shiraz. I think they'll just ignore that British title route and just go down their WBO. They've already got him a European, haven't they? I think. I reckon they'll just kind of manifest a WBO world title shot at some point in the future for him. I reckon they'll skip that British. Although I'd love to see him and Linus Udofia fight. That'd be a cracking matchup. Assuming Denzel drops the British, Denzel might hang around with British again. Who do you reckon, Leigh?
To be honest with you, my knowledge of that level of fighter is next to nothing. So move on from that one for me, because I ain't got a bloody clue, mate.
That's fair.
I'll be perfectly honest with you. I'm at the Andy level of chat casual on this one.
Yeah, I think Adam Azim's a good shout. I'm trying to think who else. Like, who's just below that level at the moment? If you look at the heavyweights, I suppose, is Fabio Wardley going to hang around at British? Probably. I'm not sure he's ready to go above that, is he, at the moment?
Who he fight though? If he's still the British now, who does Fabio Wardley fight on the British scene that he would beat? That's when he'll hang around. If he's got someone that can hang around and beat, he'll hang around. If there's a next up-and-coming prospect who's hot on these hills, he'll vacate.
No, I agree. Fraser Clark would be the obvious one.
That's a decent matchup.
Yeah.
Fraser Clark, Woodley.
I'd love to see that. Olympic medalist versus white collar fighter. That'd be amazing. I wouldn't rule Fabio out of winning it at all.
The thing is about Fabio Wardley, until he gets hit, that's when you're in danger. Once you hurt that man, he's going to hurt you back. I've got a bit of a theory of how you beat Fabio Wardley. You just need to jab him and not put any power punches to him. Just got to outbox him very fistedly for 10 rounds. Don't get him angry, and that's how you do it. Just don't get him mad. Because when you get him mad or pop his nose, he's going for you. Just fistedly, just tap him, touch him around, move out, outwork him, and that's how you get the job done. Give him 10 rounds and you're fine.
Don't wake him up.
Don't wake him up. That's it. Just tiptoe around, tap, tap, tap. Little nice touch and move. And that's the job.
I agree. What about cruiserweight? There's a few cruiserweights knocking about that could go for that British this year.
I think Isaac Chamberlain's due to fight Mikhail Lawal on a boxer show in March. I think that's pending to happen next.
I'd give Isaac a chance there.
Has he not fought for a championship British level already?
He fought Lawrence for the British, didn't he? And he fought... He
fought Lawrence for the WBA Intercontinental. He fought he fought Billy Smith for the European and Commonwealth. But the British by that point had been vacated. So he's not actually fought for the British.
Is he not? Crikey, that'd be a pub quiz question, that, because I would have put decent money on one of those being for British. Yeah. I think Isaac, I think he could beat Mikhail Lawal. If he got a tune-up fight before Lawal, I would heavily favour him for it. He's too inactive at the moment, Isaac.
Yeah, his last fight was, of course, July 30th against Bilham Smith. And just that rust might be the difference between him and Lawal.
Yeah, I'd like to see him rematch Luke Watkins prior to the Mikel Lawal fight. And I think that would put him in good standing.
Just so he can get the ring rust out of the way.
Yeah, because his last fight was Bilham Smith. And I think if he was more active prior to the Bilham Smith fight, he'd have won that. Like, he's putting hands on Bilham Smith, who, by the way, I think is a million miles away from being world title level, Bilham Smith. Like, based on what happened at the weekend and what we've seen of him, the talk of him being a world title fighter over the next 12 months, I think is crazy. Like, that's one prediction for me. Chris Bilham Smith does not win a world title in the next 12 months.
Do you know what? He's a project who they've put time into, they've built on, and the fact that people are even talking about Bilham Smith being at a world title a year ago, that would have been unheard of. So I think it's been an amazing project, which they've got to the point it is. And sometimes I feel when you have a fighter who gets to a world standing, which wasn't meant to be there, and he finally get there, it's like, you know what? Give it a go. Old British saying, give it a go. Why not? Let's just put him in there with a champ and see how he does. He's got a puncher's chance. Maybe he's not the best fundamentals, but he's made it this far. Maybe he can just finish the final mile and pull a result.
Yeah, I suppose to caveat what I just said about I don't think he wins a world title in the next 12 months. I don't care whether he does or he doesn't. Like, I love watching Bilham Smith fight. I just don't think he beats any of those world title holders at cruiserweight. However, would I love to see him win one? 100%. Like, his fights are captivating. He's very much like hit or be hit. And I think as boxing fans, he's fun to watch. Just, I fear for him when he ends up against somebody who is world level. But going on to that, name a fighter, a UK fighter, who becomes a world title holder in the next 12 months.
I think Sonny Edwards will pick up another world title. I think he can pick up another one if he unifies. I think he can definitely get the job done.
Who was that, sorry?
Sonny Edwards. I think he can win another world title on top of.
All right, name one that hasn't currently got a world title that can pick one up in the next 12 months.
Damn, you're really putting it on me.
There's not a lot, are there? Like, no, there's not an obvious one that stands out to me.
Do you remember in 2016? I think it was 2016, 2015, 2016, and we had a champion in every weight class. I think it was it 12, like 16 world champions, something like that?
Yeah, we had too many.
We had a champion in every weight class. Some even doubled up. And it was just a glorious time, just an amazing time. British boxing, we are the best. We've got the world champions to back it up. And now, I saw a post, we've got like 5. Edwards, Okoli, Josh Taylor, Tyson Fury.
Yeah.
And somebody else is there.
How many interim world champions have we got?
At 93, I think. I'm going to put one out there that I think wins a world title, a legit world title over the next 12 months. Joe Joyce. I think if we see Fury Usyk in the first 6 months of the year, whoever wins that will scatter the belts afterwards. And I think Joyce will be in position to go and pick one up.
Where's Joyce in the rankings?
He's number 1 with a WBO. I don't think he's with any of the others, is he? Because he's mandatory for WBO.
You know, that's a good shot. If the titles get split up after Undisputed, then yeah, definitely Joyce will pick up a title. I wouldn't even be surprised if AJ picks up a title because
because they'll pay enough to get a decent opponent for
he'll get his IBO back again.
So that's my prediction for it. Joe Joyce, 2023 world champ.
Who can you see him fighting though?
I wouldn't be shocked if we saw Wilder versus Joyce for a world title.
And you think Joyce would do that?
I think he'd take the fight. I think he'd fight anyone. I don't think he's scared of anybody.
You think he'd win? You obviously do, because you said that you'd get a world championship.
Yeah, I just think he's the best positioned out of everybody to do it. Whether he wins or not, I don't know. Like, if his chin holds up to Wilder, then yeah. He'll walk him down within 6 rounds, but he may get ended within 2.
Well, the only thing I think about Joyce and Wilder is that Joyce is WBO #1, Wilder's WBC #1 or #2. So that's why I think it might be quite hard for them to cross over paths at somewhere. I don't know where Wilder is in the WBO rankings, but
again, he's not mandatory with the WBC, is he? So he should be ranked elsewhere. So yeah, that's gonna be my prediction. Joe Joyce, world champion 2023. I think they got to pull the trigger on it now.
Not getting any younger, is he?
No, exactly. Right, that's all my predictions. That's all my talking points for 2023, gents. Thank you very much for your contributions. We'll see how many come off. See if Chris Eubank picks up a world title.
Absolutely none, as per usual, will come off, because it will just hit the bloody gutter like it has done for the last 2 years. You can see the enthusiasm.
We'll see if Conor Benn fights in the UK under a British license in the next 12 months.
I think that is the longest shot out of all of them.
It's the BBOC, don't be surprised.
The WBC won't finish that bloody document in the next 12 months. Right, gentlemen, I appreciate your time. Thank you very much for your input.
No problem.
You take care, and we wish you a brilliant boxing 2023 for Pitch Boxing.